Thanks a million.
No problem. Well, listen, thanks very much for having us to talk about the Autism Friendly Initiative today. I'm Shelley Brady, the Disability Officer, and I'm joined by Linda Mulligan, who's our Inclusion Support Worker, who's been working really hard on this project. You can move on to the first slide there, Linda, if you don't mind. Thanks. So first and foremost, I want to thank Louise for her support with this project, because it would never have gotten off the ground without her support, and I really want to acknowledge that. We've had a really wonderful journey since Linda has joined us as our inclusion support worker. She really hit the ground running from day one, and what she's achieved to date in such a short amount of time really is a testimony to her hard work and passion. So my sincere thanks to Linda as well. For the purpose of today's talk, I'm going to touch quickly on the physical and environmental or on the operational supports. And Linda's going to talk to you about the wonderful student and staff supports that she has provided through her service and continues to do so, along with some teasers of data from the research project, and we'll both touch on some future plans as well. I also want to highlight the fact that students have been consulted every step of the way. So you'll see the student voice speech bubble on each slide as a reminder that they really are leading us throughout this project. So you can go to the next slide, please, Linda. So in order to support the students on their journey, we firstly looked at the Autism and Uni EU-funded initiative. So Linda found this, and it's built as an open source platform, so it's freely available to adopt and adapt as we have here. So the development of the IT Sligo Autism and Uni Toolkit has been shaped by the needs of our autistic students, as well as being informed by the research literature around autistic students in higher education. So this toolkit has been put together by drawing on existing resources that are available throughout universities in Ireland and the UK, which they have happily and freely shared, as well as some original content which we've created specifically for our context, and we hope to continue to do so, particularly with the student stories and the student voice. So the underlying ethos of the toolkit is that students can use it in their own time, do research about issues that are concerning them, come back to it if particular difficulties arise. It's to reduce anxiety and to give clear guidance on many aspects of college life. So it's laid out in a really logical way. It offers practical advice, detailed information on the student journey. So it goes all the way from thinking about coming to college to planning for further study, as well as looking towards entering the workforce. Thanks, Linda. Another really important area that we wanted to address and needed to address, is directed by As I Am, who are our partners in this whole project, was that of a sensory profile of the buildings on the campus. So students want a sensory map which will help them to avoid overstimulation when needed, to help them find those areas then where that might provide additional sensory input, where they might be craving that on a particular day or time. So sensory maps typically provide information about the layout of a building and the level of sensory stimulation that can be present in each space. So it may point out crowded areas, less crowded areas, quiet areas, noises areas, areas with bright light, areas with low light, etc. So the student map is being informed by a sensory audit, which will be carried out by As I Am during Autism Acceptance Month, which is next month, as well as student sensory alerts and student sensory audits. So all students have been invited to fill in forms for any area of the college they would like to highlight, and they have been doing so. And another way in which this is really being student-led, and it's fantastic, is that it's being supported by Adrian Durkin, who has worked with Linda on a brief, and he's given it as a project this week to his students. So this will then be made available on the website and updated as needed. We've also, you can switch on to the next slide, Linda, thank you. We've also started to address the need for CAM spaces across the campus. Again, it was the student's voice that was consulted, and results showed that the preference was for a dedicated space, which we are working on with Declan and Estates to identify or create. But they also identified high-backed, semi-enclosed furniture to be dotted around the college as areas of respite or self-regulation. So these pieces of furniture that you can see here on this slide have been ordered and purchased, and they're currently in production, and we can't wait to have them on campus and available to our students. We're also investigating quieter eating areas as an alternative to students needing to eat in the main canteen, because this is an area which they identified. So Michelle brought that to executive on Monday, and I've just been informed that they've come back with a couple of options for us, which is really interesting, and it's great to see the support there as well. So Linda, I'm just going to pass over to you now to talk about your wonderful student and staff supports. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Okay, so this slide just summarises some of the supports that have been available through the Autism Friendly Initiative this year, both for staff and students. The main objective of all of them is to support autistic students to access campus life, college life in lots of different forms. And I'll talk a little bit more about each of those in the following slides. Okay, so the one-to-one student meetings are available to all of our autistic students registered with the Disability Service, and they cover a variety of different areas and take a neurodiversity affirming approach, which essentially means that we look at the strengths of the individual student and their support needs, and we view them very respectfully, look at their differences rather than using disordered or dysfunctional or deficient language. So just a different neurotype, and yeah, looking at what the student needs. So it's very sort of tailored and unique. And there's also some signposting to other services as well, if required. Okay, and so this slide here just is a little snapshot of the main areas that we cover in the one-to-one sessions. So 3 areas stand out where students have required significant support this year. So there's organisation, communication, and self-advocacy. In particular, self-advocacy is a really big area to focus on with lots of students, just in empowering them to ask for what they need and what they're entitled to as well. And really to kind of embolden them to think of themselves as, you know, just equal, not deficient, not anything like that. Just they have different needs, different strengths, and so that's an ongoing area. Okay, so the research findings so far have given us, well, they've painted quite a positive picture actually. Over the course of semester 1, students became more positive about their decision to come to IT Sligo, moving from 33% feeling happy or excited to 100% feeling positive. They became more comfortable in group situations, which is a really significant development, because group situations, communicating with groups of people is quite a challenge for a significant portion of autistic people. And they also became much more comfortable, significantly more comfortable, approaching lecturers with questions or concerns, which makes me feel very happy actually, because a lot of them were quite nervous about it to begin with. And finally, the number who participated in extracurricular activities was quite high actually, much higher than expected, and that might be in part because we developed a couple of groups due to student demand, which I'll talk about shortly. So here are 3 student quotations which they sort of approximate the views of different students that I work with. So one student said, as soon as she got her exam results from semester 1, that she thought that our meetings had a really significant impact, and she had a GPA of 83%, which I'm absolutely delighted about. And then there's this sort of second strand of student who maybe hasn't been meeting with me consistently, maybe started meeting with me at the end of semester 1 or start of semester 2, and realised actually, wow, there is support available here, and this is making a big difference already. And the third strand, which probably goes across those 2 as well, is there are some students who don't really hear many other neurodiversity affirming voices around them, and really appreciate, you know, just having somebody to come and talk to, and to kind of help them figure out, okay, like, what do I need, and what's right for me, and what is it reasonable to ask for. So in addition to the skills support in the one-to-one meetings, we've also developed introduced 2 groups this year. So as I probably mentioned before, the Autism Friendly Initiative seeks to increase access to all aspects of college life, not just the academics. And so students said they wanted different groups, they wanted to have input, and so we helped students to establish the Neurodiversity Society at the start of the year, and that's run by neurodivergent students for neurodivergent students, and I'm supporting them on an ongoing basis just to sort of facilitate events. It's not like other societies and clubs. They don't meet weekly at the moment, but I think they're making progress and figuring out what they need, and so that'll be a process that is ongoing. And the other group is the ambassadors group, and Shelley touched on this earlier, that they have had input on policy. For example, the disclosure of disability on the LENS letter, they told us that's not something they wanted. They wanted the option to have it written on or not. So the LENS letter is the needs assessment. So it lists the needs anyway, and the disability written at the top is now optional. And the sensory map that Shelley mentioned is something that we're working with Adrian Durkin with, and the ambassadors are going to be an integral part of that process. They're going to be giving feedback, doing usability surveys and things like that, and yeah, something that they've been pushing for as well. And Keith McManus has also been really important in that process as well. He's connected us with Adrian in the first place, and he's going to be doing some further work on the sensory map to make sure that it's usable on the website as well. So lots of exciting developments coming up. Let's see. Okay, and of course, while our focus is largely on student life and college life, we do understand that our students do eventually leave, and therefore we have a couple of different initiatives or resources available to them to help them develop employability skills, other skills that might help them when they leave IT Sligo. So Specialista are our partners, and they have in the past, I think it's the last year or two, Shelley, I think you can probably clarify that for us. They've been working with our final year students, so that would be third or fourth year students, on a whole host of areas, CVs, interview skills, things like that. And due to student demand this year, we also offered some sessions to non-final year students who might have been looking for part-time work, or maybe just wanted to get a head start on skills that would help them to get a job when they left IT Sligo. And another partner we've been working with this year on employability is Your Speech, whose main focus was presentation and public speaking sessions. And for both of these initiatives, we got quite a lot of positive student feedback. Finally, in order to support our students, it's vital that we support our staff as well on this journey to becoming an autism-friendly campus. So we have, there's various ways that we've been supporting staff this year. Staff Advice Clinic, which basically involves communicating directly with staff to offer advice, tips, resources to help them support their students. We've had staff training sessions. Some have been general for all staff, and some have been tailored to the needs of particular services, such as the counselling and health service. And we'll be providing ongoing support to those staff to help with creating resources that are bespoke and that will help our students ultimately to access all the services more easily across IT Sligo. And there's other things that we're working on, resource creation, the first of which was a guide to how to plan an autism-friendly event. And we have other resources in the mix as well that will be coming soon. And our main aim is to create more digital tools for staff in the future, just to empower them to learn more about how they can support their students. And so that's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. And finally, we have some more information on the links on this slide if you want to know more. If there are any questions now, we'd be happy to answer them, provided that there is some time available. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. That's brilliant. You've done so much in such short space of time, and I know you're doing the research in the background as well on that, which is going to be really valuable to embedding this as a resource in the college, because it's working. It's great. It's working. It's lovely to see that. rather than a question, is there other supports that we can do between now and the end of INOTE? I see there you mentioned your digital tools and things like that that you want to build. Please come to us if you do.
Okay, yeah, we do have some ideas. So yes, okay. Yeah. So if we have, yeah, that'd be great. We will. We'll have a chat and get on to you straight away. Actually,
you might as well, you know,
yes,
because this is something we're really piloting on behalf of ATU. You know, if you think about it, so you're leading the charge on this, and what you'll do will map, you know, for the other campuses essentially across the ATU. So it is important to consider that, I suppose, in the sense that people can replicate it. So, like, you know, the map you mentioned earlier, that it can be replicated for other campuses, and we can build on your work to strengthen it across the ATU.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's exactly. We want to make sure that this is sort of generalizable as well beyond our own space, and for it to be a much bigger thing. So, yes, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant work.